Here are 3 reasons why your team isn't taking advantage of what Gen AI has to offer when it comes to automating parts of your workflow. So reason number 1, you're a hammer looking for a nail. What I typically see with medical affairs teams and also outside of life sciences in general is that folks get really excited about this new technology and without thinking about the core priorities and problems are trying to figure out any place they can kind of insert Gen AI into and that it can kind of be this magic wand that can solve all of their problems. Rather than starting by listing out what are the problems and priorities our team has, what are our top 3 key medical strategic priorities, and within that, on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis, what problems am I facing to get to execute on those strategic priorities? Let's list those out first and then make a determination on whether Gen AI, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoints, whatever tool you might have at hand is the right solution to that problem. So to summarize, with the first key reason is don't be a hammer looking for a nail. Figure out your problems first and then determine whether Gen AI is even a right solution to your problems. So typically, reason number 2 that I see is once you've identified your set of problems, it's important to distinguish between what is ultimately a potential process problem versus what are the types of problems that can be solved through automation, AI, or generative AI. Because the reality is, if you're trying to use AI to solve what is a process or an organizational problem, then you're effectively putting a band-aid on the core root problem, and AI is not going to solve that core root problem. A process restructure will. So this is typically something, for example, we see in the MLR review process. Oftentimes with MLR, depending on how those processes are structured, some of the symptoms of why it can take so long tend to be how that process is organized. And while AI can definitively streamline bits and elements of that process, it cannot be a band-aid to solve potentially underlying core issues. So that's one example. And as you look at your problems and priorities you've listed in front of you, just keep that in mind. Whether automating that process is really putting a band-aid on the core problem, which is the process itself. So reason number 3 that I typically see with medical affairs teams not taking advantage of what tech AI, Gen AI has to offer when it comes to process automation is AI literacy. So it's really understanding out of all of these tools that are available, when are they good to use and why? And when are they not good to use and why not? For some things, AI and Gen AI may just be overkill, where a spreadsheet might just do the job. In other cases, Gen AI might not be the right solution, but standard neural network machine learning models might be the solution. So what I encourage teams to do, because of the shift that is happening in the industry, is to really educate yourselves on the basics of what Gen AI is, what is AI, how is it all different, so you can start to fundamentally evaluate for a given problem set and priorities that you would like to apply AI and automation to, which tools are the right tools to use to solve that problem. So number 4, the 4th reason is in the fact that there's so much hype and excitement around Gen AI that oftentimes what I see with teams is very high expectations of Gen AI is going to be a magic wand that's going to solve all my problems automatically without any additional, IT, data processing, infrastructure, etc. And what I typically see happen in those cases is that, they'll try out Gen AI, they don't get the results they want or expect, and then there's kind of disillusionment that ends up setting in with, but Gen AI is not really that impressive, or maybe it's not the right solution, when in reality, it might not be that is the problem. It is the fact that Gen AI has very specific applications, and in order to achieve a certain outcome, depending on the level of accuracy that you may need, depending on what the task is, Gen AI is typically a tool in a long list of a chain of tools to enable a highly accurate and truly valuable outcome. Just like, in spreadsheets, you might have multiple formulas to ultimately get you to the specific outcome you want. Gen AI can be a micro tool in a chain of a lot of tools to get to that outcome. So just because you might have tried it and maybe not received the outcomes that you were hoping for, I would also, take into consideration that potentially Gen AI is a tool that can work, but there needs to be a level of AI literacy and a full understanding of the problem and how to apply all of those technical tools in order to achieve the exact outcome that you or your team were hoping for. So these are really the 4 reasons, and I added an extra one in here, for why I see medical affairs teams not be able to take advantage of Gen AI it has to offer to its fullest potential.